Now, I ran across some material I have on the shelf. I guess this is my equivalent of Ed's attic, only it's on the main floor of our house. I happened to on a publication of the Midwest folklore, which was published by Indiana University, and in the magazine, the lead article was titled "Home Medication in Grant County, Indiana in the 90s" by W.L. Macatee. And as Ed reminds me, W.L. Macatee, very interesting figure from family from Fairmount. Macatee went on to teach at Duke University.
I think it was Duke. It was someplace in the Carolinas, and I believe it was Duke University.
And in the sciences, I believe.
Yeah.
But as a side, he gathered a lot of folk tales regarding Grant County, and particular from his family in the Fairmount area. Now, this one deals with home medication, and I'd like to make a disclaimer at this time. Do not try these things at home. Or at least consult your physician before attempting any of these.
Maybe all this will be incorporated in the new medical and science building out east by the hockey arena.
It could be. It could be.
Maybe that's what they're talking about.
Well, this morning I think I'm the Dr. Oz of Marion. So let's see what we can do here to help people with their remedies. Again, don't try this at home. One of he lists several, but he starts out with alum. Now, I think alum's not that unusual. I remember people used to have those shaving sticks, that with alum. But a lump of alum was heated in a skillet on top of the stove until the water of crystallization was driven off. The bubbly but hard white residue was pulverized, and the powder used to treat canker or ulcers of the mouth. We called the powder burnt alum. Large alum crystals obtained from a store were rubbed on galled places to relieve pain and promote healing. Some of these, it seems like it might have hurt so bad that the original malady seemed minor by comparison. Another one that I'm actually not familiar with as a remedy, but you ever wonder what to do with buckeyes? By the way, this is a season for buckeyes.
Yeah, now you don't eat they are not a chestnut.
Oh, no, they're not a chestnut.
Okay, so you're about to answer the question of what to do with your buckeye collection.
Yeah, if you're adventurous. A buckeye, large shiny brown seeds were carried on the person to forestall or alleviate rheumatism. They were reputed to be poisonous to livestock. I think they were reputed to be poisonous to people.
Yeah.
I think we, as kids, gathered buckeyes and had buckeye wars. Bouncing them off each other's heads. They were really, they were tough.
They're great in a slingshot.
Great in a slingshot, yes. Another interesting cure offered here was the use of fat salt meat. Applied to puncture wounds, especially rusty nails, it was supposed to guard against lockjaw. I don't think so. However, that's what they say here. Now, the application of poultices. And I know there's probably several people that got something cooking on the stove right now. But hot cornmeal and oatmeal mushes, as well as mashed potatoes sandwiched in a cloth, were applied as poultices, and cloths alone were wrung from hot water and would sometimes serve to relieve muscle aches or lumbago, or to ripen boils and other gatherings. So if you
again, do not try this at home.
Do not try this at home. Although some would say that was probably the best use of cornmeal and oatmeal mush. Not really a fan myself. Let's see here. We're looking down at muriatic acid. This one. My wife was looking through that, and she was simply appalled. Muriatic acid. This could be obtained or swiped at a malleable iron foundry in West Marion. We're talking about Marion Malleable. It was dropped onto seed warts to discourage them. An even more heroic treatment was to break off the head of a match, press it into the wart, ignite it, and let it burn there. Very mild by contrast was the application of tobacco spit of a grasshopper. All of these were children's medications. Oh, man.
Well, now,
your child would leave home.
That cuts both ways. There was also the children's fear that grasshopper tobacco spit caused warts.
Well,
remember that?
Maybe it's like the hair of the dog kind of thing,
Yeah.
It gives and it takes
when
away.
When you were a kid and you caught a grasshopper, you didn't want the grasshopper to spit tobacco juice on your hands, because then you'd get warts.
Well, there's all sorts of stuff. The cat under the stump. Remember in Mark Twain and Tom Sawyer, that sort of business. And moving along, tallow, especially mutton tallow, was applied to cracked knuckles in winter and was used to prevent or cure chapped lips.
Yeah.
This is sort of the
just like lanolin.
Chapstick. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
A non-medical but common use was to soften or preserve leather. Shoes soaked by rain or snow were stiff as boards. Tallow applied hot softened them and made them somewhat resistant to the next wetting. I suspect they made them also extremely odoriferous. Your shoes wiped with tallow and...
you just got to deal with
put your feet up by the wood stove and fill the house. Another one that...
put them up by the fire and your boots melt.
Yes, or fry, as the case may be. Another one that some listeners may be familiar with, castor oil. Now, castor oil had gone out of vogue when I don't know that anybody really did castor oil, but I know in my parents' and grandparents' generation that was sort of the daily dosing up of the children. It said, he says, this replaced the calomel of the pioneers as a cathartic. Oh, boy. Much disliked by children, yes. It is called more than other medicine. It called for the rude treatment of holding the nose to force the swallowing. Remember episodes of Little Rascals where Alfalfa or Spanky are getting their dose of castor oil? Meat rind. Skin of cured pork was given to teething babies to chew on. Another fine remedy. And the last one that we'll deal with, sassafras. Now, I know there's mixed views about sassafras. It always, to me, sounded better than it tasted. Maybe I've not had good sassafras, but to me it tasted like really bad root beer.
Yeah.
Sassafras, and the roots were dug in the spring. Actually, I have done that. Dug the sassafras roots and made a tea by boiling them to thin the blood. The drink was pungent and bitter, a far remove from the delicious tea that can be made by a mild infusion of the bark roots. I would say there cannot be a mild enough infusion of the bark roots to make that palatable. And then, last but not least, sugar of lead. Sugar of lead immediately sounds like...
No good can come from this.
No good, yes. You're summoning the reaper. No, actually, it was a solution used in dressing ivy poisoning. So if you break out with poison ivy, you dose yourself up with sugar of lead. Well, that concludes our medical episode for the day. Are there any questions?
I am just going to say I'm glad that we're not following this show with cuisine curiosities. It just is not going to make a good mix this morning.
No, but we do provide a little something for everyone.
I think that is true.
However, if you do and you have any problems, there's always pokeweed, pennyroyal, lard, and Jimson wheat, which was used to make a salve for unhealed wounds.
Okay, you can go back to eating breakfast.
W.O. Macatee, college professor at Duke University and all-around scholar of Grant County folklore.
Bill Munn, your Grant County historian, with another Moments in Grant County History program. Chris's